aware of Meta changing your Meta ad settings on you. I'm a Facebook ad manager. Hi. And I recently had a coaching call where the client was in launch mode. And you know what happened? They had an agency in the past run their ads, and now they're running their own ads. No bad experience with the agency, just it didn't make sense profit wise. So they had set up their own ads, and I was looking at their ads because that's what I do in one-on-one coaching. And I noticed their lead cost was dramatically cheaper than it was when the agency was running their ads. So I'm like, uh-oh, red flag. Let's dive into this, because either the agency had no idea what they're doing. I highly doubt that, because I actually know the person who ran that agency, or my client who I was doing one-on-one ad coaching for had just discovered like the ultimate unlock to super cheap leads, or there was some setting that happened to be done wrong. And so what happened is there was a setting. I'll jump to the point. There was a setting that was missed. And so they had duplicated the agency's ads, and there was this little setting that was missed. And so I'm going to talk about that setting and make sure that you don't miss that when you duplicate your own ad sets or ad campaigns. And then also I'm going to tell you about these suggestions that Meta makes. I'm looking at the ad level, something called Advantage plus Creative, and these enhancements right here. There's 1 out of 5. Sometimes there's up to 8, I believe. And it's super sneaky, Meta, because they want you to let them just put all the enhancements on and let them rework your ad how they choose. Meta will sneak all of these on, or some of them on, and even on the screen that you just saw where I clicked, you'll see sometimes it says all optimizations are off. Look at that. All optimizations off, and it might only show you 2 little windows here, like maybe visual touch-ups and text improvements, and they'll be off. And you're like, oh, I'm good to go. But then actually, right down there at the bottom, this little link, blue text with an underline that says show more enhancements. And you drop that down and you'll see like 6 enhancements down there, and they're all on. And some of them were really gonna jack up your ads. So that's not the point of this episode. Just to let you know, look at what Meta's doing, okay? Sometimes it works in your favor. Many times, and I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart as a Facebook ad manager who looks at accounts daily, many times you do not want those enhancements on. And if you do have them on, it would be worth your business lead cost while and ad investment while just to kind of test through combinations of them to see what's happening. Now, back to what happened with this client, because the ad cost was like 4 to 5 times cheaper, their ad cost was, than the previous agency that was running their ads. And so we looked, and it turned out as they had duplicated the ad set, the country targeting was left off, which is really bad. I'm so glad I found it for them, because what happened then is as they were duplicating the ad set, Meta decided they needed to have worldwide targeting. Any country can be targeted. Now, I had talked to another person, not a client, but she had casually DM'd me at the beginning of this year, and the same thing happened to her. She was getting leads on the cheap. Unreal, super happy. Her launch time came, and you know what happened? Very few people bought. And so here's the issue with this worldwide targeting when you don't target a specific country. Meta looks for the cheapest opt-ins. Meta doesn't care, or well, they do care about your business, and they want you to give them money, but they don't know what kind of business you have specifically. Their bots might, as they crawl your page and your ads to make sure your ads and your landing page are in line with Meta ad policy. But what I'm getting at is they just are looking for the best leads. And if you leave the targeting open for your ads, when I say open, I mean specifically if you don't target the countries you want, you're going to get leads from like the MENA region, which stands for, this is from way back in the day when I wanted to be a foreign service officer. Did you know I speak Mandarin? One day, long time ago, I was trying to be a foreign service officer with my Mandarin skills. Anyway, MENA, Middle East, North Africa, that region, right? So you'll get like plenty of leads from Nigeria and from Kenya and Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, right? And other Southeast Asian countries. Look, I lived in China for 12 years. Many of my friends came from the continent of Africa because my dad's from Ghana. That's where I get my name QUAY.jo from, which should be said QUÄYjo or something like that. It means if a boy's born on Monday, they could have that. Random fact, if you remember several secretary generals of the UN ago, there was this guy named Kofi Annan. That is for guys who were born on Friday, have the name Kofi. And my dad's name is Kofi too, because he's from Ghana and he was born on a Friday. But I was not born on a Monday, actually. Interesting there. My mom was from the States and she didn't like the name of the day that I was born on. And if you want to know the rest of that story, DM me on Instagram. I'm happy to chit chat. So people from those countries are great. The issue here is that if you, as a native English speaker, which many of my clients are, and listeners for this podcast are in addition to you, are selling things to people who are from, let's say, the US, a $500 course could very well be out of the range of what somebody can afford who's from Azerbaijan. Great person, might need what you have. But if your course is like what somebody would make in a year, or if your course costs what somebody would make in half a year, they're probably not going to be able to buy your course. And so that is why we don't want to leave wide open targeting as far as countries is concerned. You want to target specific countries. What countries should you be targeting? Well, it depends on where your customers come from. So do that research first. But if you're like me from the States and you sell a course in general to people who are English speaking, target like the countries that can afford your course that speak English natively. Usually we're looking at targeting the US, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, sometimes Ireland. You know, I may have seen a few clients targeting Israel too, but in general, it's just those 5 or 6 or 7 native English speaking countries. And many times you just look because you have a survey after somebody buys your program or offer and see where they're from. And then go ahead and target more people from that country and don't spend time targeting the other countries. That is the thing. Be very careful when you are duplicating ad sets because nowadays you just have to watch out. By the way, if you want my eyeballs on your meta ads so that you can avoid these kind of mistakes, that would be one-on-one coaching with me. And it would take place over a month. You have unlimited access to me and a number of calls with me. And then the unlimited access comes in between those calls. Find out more about that in the link in the description below. Here's another thing I see right here. I'm looking at an ad on the screen right now. There's the ad name. And when I duplicate it, this is a mistake I see. Right here, it has this screen which says new campaigns will use greater daily budget flexibility. Fine, okay. But sometimes there's extra things there, up to 3 extra like boxes at the top that have other messages like turn this on, turn that on, but they're on automatically. And I just don't want you to get in trouble by turning those things on automatically. Right now, you've just seen me try to duplicate an ad set. And look, the first box that's selected by default says apply recommendations. One box is checked that says website and shop. And then it says 35% better incremental return on ad spend. Oh no, you don't, Meta. You better not. I mean, it sounds good, right? It sounds good. But first of all, they don't know the kind of ad I'm running. Like, yes, this ad happens to be a profitable SLO ad for a client, like a direct to sell ad for a client, but like this client does not have an e-commerce shop. And as far as my knowledge goes right now, when you turn on that setting, it's kind of optimized for folks with an e-commerce shop. And look at this one right here. Check Advantage Plus Creative. Well, that's the thing that I warned you about earlier on in this episode. You turn that on and Meta then can twist and warp your ad to their whim. Now, some of those enhancements do work, and I've been testing them in an attempt to lower ad costs for me and for clients. I've been testing them one by one, not quite ready yet, but the point is you don't want to blindly just be like, oh, look, it's highlighted in blue. Apply these recommendations. Meta has my best interest in mind. Click. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. But just be diligent to look at the settings. Make sure that Meta doesn't screw you over and you all of a sudden have higher lead costs than you should, or higher cost per sale, or maybe your SLO funnel isn't profitable anymore because you took Meta's automatic recommendations or didn't quite check and they just did something wonky to your ads, like remove country targeting, for example, or turn on Advantage Plus audiences when you already had an audience that was converting really well. Advantage Plus warm audiences are working extremely well right now in my clients' accounts. They have been for the better part of this year, 2024. So if you're not quite using Advantage Plus warm audiences when you do have, especially for self-liquidating offers, sales campaign, where you're running ads directly to a low ticket offer, I highly recommend you try a warm Advantage Plus audience. And all the Advantage Plus means when you're looking at an audience is that your audience targeting, instead of becoming hard limits, now becomes soft suggestions. So you upload all your warm audiences into Facebook, and Meta knows to start there, but then they can target people outside of those audiences when they choose. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, cold audience and warm audience targeting, where you start warm and then it starts to expand cold via that algorithmic magic.